Hi guys. Okay, I was too tired to post this last night. I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to get to it. It is an incredible article on geoengineering. Even if you don't read the article, and it's long, the longest article I think I've ever seen on Activist Post, and I can't read the whole thing because it is so long. But even if you don't read it, could you please circulate the link to it? It's written by an engineer, and it's really important when we have people writing about this who are credentialed, who are experts, who are in the field, you know what I'm talking about. It's also very frustrating to read these articles coming out now, written as if this is new information when we all know that this has been going on for years. Anyway, I'm just going to read some paragraphs. It's a read that is somewhat disjointed because it is so filled with links to articles, documents, videos. I'm telling you, if you do research on geoengineering, or if you know anybody who does research on geoengineering, you've got to get this article to them, because one article to have this much information, it is rich. So, did I ask you to circulate it? Okay. I'm an engineer residing in the suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina, and I have been documenting large-scale aerial chemical dispersals from aircraft over the city through time-lapse photography. Embedded also in the article are many of the videos. Well, not many, but these spraying operations can change clear blue sky to a chalky white sky from horizon to horizon in a matter of hours. I was looking at that sky earlier today until they started spraying. My research to understand the reasons behind these chemical dispersals over my house and city through what looks like jet contrail amplification has led me to propose that these jet aerosol spraying events are a sub-project of a global geoengineering program known as solar radiation management, which is being conducted through so-called stratospheric particle injections. Geoengineering is large-scale manipulation of Earth's physical systems. Indeed, a survey of the patent and technical literature reveals that the deliberate intensification of jet contrail formation is considered the most cost-effective method under consideration as a technique for weather modification and global warming amelioration, and it is the most cost-effective. One of the arguments that a lot of people make who don't believe that this could possibly be happening is that it would cost billions and billions and billions of dollars to spray the world. No, actually, it is quite cost-effective. To implement this agenda with jet aircraft, geoengineers are discussing the use of fuel additives, customized engines, afterburner injections, and extra fuel tanks for dispensing experimental chemicals. They're discussing it. And I've seen news clips of them discussing it. And talk about living 1984. It is so utterly surreal what we're living today. Because as I watch these news clips, and then I look out the window, and it's being done right before my eyes, and they're discussing possibly doing it. Whew. The scope of these stratospheric aerosol geoengineering projects needs to be understood by the public because, despite their far-reaching goals, they are being implemented under the radar, not so under the radar, all over the world. Even as their well-paid proponents admit these programs could create a global ice age, something I'm seeing more and more in news articles, or alter global rainfall patterns. Really? Look at all the flooding, and affect the food supply for billions of people. Alarmingly, the intensity of the spray incidents over Charlotte, North Carolina seems to have increased dramatically in 2014. I have posted numerous time-lapse videos of these chemical dispersals on YouTube, the most recent being a massive all-day chemical spray incident that occurred Sunday, February 2nd, 2014. And he's got links to both of those videos. Here's another video embedded in the article. The pervasive white haze in the sky that resulted from the spreading of persistent contrails over Charlotte on these days is curiously consistent with the predicted side effect of proposed climbing engineering programs discussed in recent news articles. The title of one of them is Geoengineering Would Turn Blue Skies Whiter. And I've actually posted videos that might be the article that he's linking to. Some of these articles advocate the deployment of dedicated fleets of aircraft as part of climate change Manhattan Project effort, which is written about, and he's linked to in the article, the Stanford Environmental Law Journal article. To inject millions of tons of reflective atmospheric aerosols over cities, this would in fact create artificial volcanoes to reflect sunlight back into space. Artificial volcanoes. Didn't John Kerry just... the volcano, a recent one that erupted, and he said it was caused by man-made global warming? Other means proposed for launching millions of tons of chemicals into the stratosphere for geoengineering operations include particle spewing smokestacks on ships at sea. We have land smokestacks that are creating artificial clouds. Tethered balloons dispensing chemical slurries pumped up from the ground, and exploding artillery shells packed with experimental chemicals. Chem bombs. Have you seen videos of people talking about these chem bombs? That's what they've been called on the satellite videos. I've posted them. Although it may be shocking to the uninitiated, field studies have already been conducted and published on the large-scale creation of man-made clouds using controlled particle sources dispersed from smokestacks on ships so that the reflectivity of the atmosphere could be modified and measured. I'm going to skip a couple of paragraphs. He talks about engineered air pollution to brighten clouds, from experiments, the controlled emission of smoke-generated particles. He writes about the SPICE project, stratospheric particle injection for climate engineering. Along these lines, field experiments have recently been conducted in which military aircraft induced man-made cirrus clouds over England through persistent contrails so that changes to the reflectivity of the atmosphere could be measured. They can create clouds with jet aircraft. It's happening over the United States as well. And as is discussed below, a custom fleet of drone aircraft has already been designed for a longer-term effort aimed at dispersing 1 million tons of sulfuric acid per year into the stratosphere for 20 years. I have posted videos on drones being used. It's not just commercial airlines or military or our military personnel operating jets. Drones are in the air, and they can keep them flying for thousands of hours. I have videos on it. As a result of several years of investigation and and observation, I believe this strategy of employing aircraft for a stratospheric aerosol geoengineering effort is already being quietly implemented through the U.S. government by self-serving billionaires like Bill Gates under the pretext of fighting global warming. Consequently, I have written an extensive request for a congressional investigation into aerosol experimentation over North Carolina, which he has linked to the PDF for that request. He also has started an online petition at change.org to call attention to these chemical dispersions over his house and city, North Carolina. Indeed, these geoengineering programs must be put under intense scrutiny. Recent revelations of U.S. government programs which sprayed radioactive particles over American cities, not to mention Operation Large Area Coverage and the Green Run experiments. There's a whole lot of information that I need to do a lot of research on, embedded in this article. Or more recently, the catastrophic showering of Iraqi cities with depleted uranium and white phosphorus show the dangers of blindly assuming that these current aerial spraying incidents over U.S. cities will not contain harmful chemicals. And apparently the EPA has no interest in protecting the public from experiments that will expose them to deadly particles. In fact, the EPA is carefully conducting such experiments all over the country. Recent exposés concerning lethal EPA gas chamber particulate exposure experiments being conducted at universities around the country, including North Carolina, with the blessing of the state medical boards, on the elderly and children, only reinforce the need for vigilance. I didn't know about that. For example, the progress reports on one project conducted at the University of Southern California openly state they are trying to induce repeatable genetic changes in children through exposure to calibrated pollutant mixtures in order to validate their asthma causation models. I can't help wonder if the EPA is trying to determine the likely health impact of these stratospheric particle injection experiments, much like the Atomic Energy Commission injected plutonium and other radioactive substances into pregnant women as the atom bombs were being developed. Democracy Now! Described this long-range test program. This is from Democracy Now! In a gruesome plot that spanned 30 years, doctors and scientists working with the U.S. atomic weapons program exposed thousands of unwilling and unknowing Americans to radiation poisoning to study its effects. Doctors. Don't they take an oath to do no harm? I'm afraid I'm coming close to my 15 minutes. Please get this out. Thank you for watching.